Today we're watching coaches rip each other's heads off. And yeah, it really doesn't get old.
There's a quick handshake between Harbaugh and Jim Schwartz, and then this ensues. People putting their helmets back on their heads as if a fight is going to break out.
We see players going after one another on the field and through the media all the time. But when it comes to coaches, well, they're the ones who are supposed to keep things professional and refrain from adding fuel to the fire. That's what makes it so much fun when one NFL head coach decides to rip on the opposing bench boss. Here are 10 such instances throughout NFL history that were pretty wild. Joe Judge blasts Doug Peterson. This was actually the rant that inspired our list. So thanks, Joe. The Giants needed the arch-rival Philadelphia Eagles to beat Washington in the final game of the 2020 regular season. An Eagles victory would give the Giants the NFC East Division title. Otherwise, Washington would take it with a victory. The Eagles head coach Doug Peterson shocked everybody when he pulled rookie quarterback Jalen Hurts in the fourth quarter in favor of third stringer Nate Sudfeld, especially considering the fact that the score was just 17-14, and Sudfeld hadn't taken a single snap all season up to that point. Not surprisingly, Sudfeld struggled mightily.
What's that? Sudfeld. Looking. Oh, what is that?
Washington went on to win 20-14. Peterson basically gifted the division to Washington. Many players, fans, and analysts berated him for his decisions to pull Hurts, with some even believing that he wanted to lose on purpose for a higher draft pick. Giants head coach Joe Judge was understandably disgusted by Peterson's decision, and he didn't mince words when asked about it during an end-of-the-season press conference.
Joe, did you think that the Eagles did anything wrong in how they approached last night's game?
Yeah, look, I'll let Philadelphia speak for themselves on that in terms of how they approached the game. To disrespect the effort that everyone put forward to make this season a success for the National Football League, to disrespect the game by going out there and not competing for 60 minutes and doing everything you can to help those players win, we will never do that as long as I'm the head coach of the New York Giants.
Peterson was eventually fired during the offseason. Mike Tomlin calls out Freddie Kitchens' Cleveland Browns. Tomlin didn't specifically mention Freddie Kitchens' name, but we think we know who he was talking about. We all remember that unfortunate brawl between the Browns and Steelers, which resulted in Myles Garrett swinging a helmet at the head of quarterback Mason Rudolph.
The incident that happened at the end of the game, you accept the responsibility, nothing to learn from it. What can you do, or what can other coaches in the league do to prevent it from happening again?
I don't know. You got to ask those guys.
Yourself.
You know, I don't know that we did anything to make it happen anyway in the first place. That's why I said that we didn't have anything to learn from it.
Tomlin certainly could have said worse. Oddly enough, Kitchens didn't think his name was to blame here either, because a few days prior to their next meeting, he was spotted out in the town wearing a Pittsburgh Started It t-shirt. Bold move, Cotton. But it didn't end up working out well for the Browns. The Steelers players were clearly motivated by Kitchens' unquestionable attire. Just ask Raymond Foster.
Did you feel it was disrespectful for a coach to be wearing something like that?
I'll leave it up to you guys, but I know our coach would have never done anything like that. Why throw gas? I know I said I want to answer, but when you do something like that, you throw your players in harm's way. He's not on the field. You throw your players in harm's way when you do stuff like that with a vengeance, and I hate that for them.
Pittsburgh used that motivation to fuel them to an important 20-13 victory in the rematch. The loss pretty much ended the Browns' playoff hopes, and Kitchens was fired after the season. Todd Haley confronts Josh McDaniels. To say that then Kansas City Chiefs head coach Todd Haley was upset following a blowout 2010 road loss to the Denver Broncos would be quite the understatement. The Chiefs were soundly defeated by a less talented Denver team, 49-29, in Week 10. But Haley couldn't contain himself when it came to the post-game handshake with McDaniels. Haley owned up to his actions and offered an apology, though he wouldn't reveal what caused his frustration, which sucks, because let's face it, we all want to know what kind of crap people were saying about Josh McDaniels. John Harbaugh throws shade at Patriots dynasty. The Baltimore Ravens-New England Patriots rivalry was one of the NFL's best from 2009 to 2014, and there was certainly no shortage of back and forths between the two sides. Not only from the players, but from the coaches as well. The New Orleans Saints Bountygate scandal was brought up when Ravens coach John Harbaugh made a 2012 offseason appearance on 98 Rock in Baltimore. During the interview, Harbaugh threw a shot at Bill Belichick and the Pats over their infamous 2007 Spygate scandal. In the end, everything is brought before the light of day, and it's all said and done. What happens even the thing in New England, no matter whether those things had any impact on whether they won their championship or not? They got asterisks now. It's been stained. John clearly isn't a fan of Belichick and the Pats. So it must have really sucked for him when he had to watch them win 3 more Super Bowls following his asterisk comment. Norv Turner's savage response to Rex Ryan. Rex was known for having quite the big mouth. This guy was never afraid to throw shade at opposing coaches and teams. Prior to a 2011 game between the Jets and Turner's San Diego Chargers, Ryan suggested that he would have had a couple of rings with the Chargers if they hired him as their head coach instead of Turner in 2007. Ryan said the Chargers teams coached by Turner were loaded, and while he did praise Turner for doing a good job, the damage had already been done. Turner was clearly peeved, and the usually quiet head coach responded with a 10 out of 10 comeback. I hadn't seen his quote, and I was a little bit surprised by the call. And after I saw the quote, I didn't have the chance to ask him this, but I was wondering if he had those rings with the ones he's guaranteed the last couple of years. Sure, Ryan's Jets went on to win that game, but Turner won the war of words. After all, he's not the one who guaranteed any Super Bowl victories. Now did he? Jim Harbaugh comments on the Seahawks cheating. Few, if any, coaching rivalries in any sport are storied as the Jim Harbaugh-Pete Carroll feud. This one started back in the NCAA, when Harbaugh and Carroll were the head coaches at Stanford and USC respectively.
They don't seem very happy with each other.
Carroll was hired as the new Seattle Seahawks head coach in 2010. 1 year later, the NFC West rival San Francisco 49ers hired Harbaugh to become their new head coach. In the 2013 offseason, Harbaugh poured more fuel on the fire when he accused the Seahawks of cheating, following the suspension of Bruce Irvin for following the league's PED policy. But that's usually the agents of the players themselves saying it's, for example, Adderall. But the NFL doesn't release what it actually is. So if you have no idea, you're taking somebody at their word. And I don't know that you can take them at their word, understanding the circumstances. For those who are wondering, the circumstances that Harbaugh is referring to are the 5 PED suspensions that Seahawks players were hit with between 2011 and 2013. Harbaugh said he also messaged his players about playing by the rules and not cheating to win, something he clearly thought Pete Carroll was doing with the Seahawks players. Mike Ditka can't let go of the feud with Forrest Gregg. Mike Ditka and Forrest Gregg were 2 central components of the historic Chicago Bears-Green Bay Packer rivalry. Ditka, a Hall of Fame tight end, played for the Bears from 1961 to 66. Gregg, of course, was a Hall of Fame offensive lineman for Vince Lombardi's Packers during the same time. But this rivalry grew even stronger after their playing careers, when Ditka and Gregg were coaching the Bears and Packers respectively during the 80s. The most memorable part of the rivalry took place in a 1986 game in Chicago. Immediately following a Jim McMahon interception, Charles Martin of the Packers picked the quarterback up and body slammed him to the ground. McMahon suffered a season-ending shoulder injury, and Martin was ejected and hit with a 2-game suspension. In an interview with the Bears, reporter Brad Biggs, 25 years after the incident, Ditka reflected on the Martin body slam and threw shade at Gregg, emphasizing that he still didn't respect the Packers legend because of what had happened. These things were after the play, after the fact. So either you're coaching that or your players are stupid. That's what I'm gonna say. In this case, I believe they were coached. That's why I never got along with Forrest Gregg. To this day, I don't respect him for that reason. When the play is over and you pick somebody up and body slam them on the ground. Oh, big deal, Martin says. I'm a tough guy. You're not a tough guy. You're a dumb guy. Just another juicy chapter in the Packers-Bears rivalry. Chuck Noll and Jerry Glanville. Legendary Pittsburgh Steelers head coach Chuck Noll wasn't always the easiest guy to play for. Just ask Terry Bradshaw. But playing for Noll meant playing for a winner. And he certainly wasn't afraid to stand up for his players. As seen during the Steelers' Week 15 1987 road game against Jerry Glanville's Houston Oilers. Noll wasn't all too pleased about the dirty hits that Glanville's Oilers had delivered throughout the game. Houston went on to win 24-16, and Noll couldn't hold back when he went to shake Glanville's hand after the game. Those are fighting words. Thankfully, the two were able to bury the hatchet. The Battle of Two Dougs. The 2017 New England Patriots had to face 2 head coaches named Doug in their run to Super Bowl 52. The first, of course, was Doug Marrone, who led the surprising Jacksonville Jaguars all the way to the AFC Championship game. The other was Doug Peterson, who guided Philly all the way to the big game with backup quarterback Nick Foles. Peterson's Eagles emerged victorious over Bill Belichick's squad by a final score of 41-33, thanks in large part to his aggressive, gutsy play calling. In his memoir called Fearless, Peterson couldn't help but take a shot at the other Doug, Marrone, over his conservative play calling in that Jags-Pats AFC Championship game. Jacksonville got the ball back with 55 seconds left in the first half. and 2 timeouts in their pocket. But Marrone surprisingly opted to kneel it and take a 14-10 lead into the half. The Jaguars wound up losing 24-20. So yeah, an extra score at the end of the half could have changed the outcome of the game, but Marrone wasn't willing to risk it. Peterson said that the conservative play calling made him mad. He also took the following shot at Marrone's play calling in his book. "I thought if they lose this game, this is why." Sure enough, they would go on to lose the game. When asked about the comments, Marrone decided to take the high road, saying he was sure there was a long line of people who have the same question or feelings. Mike Ditka and Buddy Ryan. Chicago Bears fans surely know about the rivalry between the aforementioned Ditka and Buddy Ryan. The two men didn't get along whatsoever, and word has it they nearly fought at halftime during the game against the Dolphins back in 1985. Anyway, after their Super Bowl championship season, Ryan left to become head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles in 1986. The rivalry between the two only escalated from there. Following a Bears victory over the Eagles in a 1989 regular season game, Ryan was quoted in Steve Silverman's book as saying, "You don't lose that many times to anyone and stay in this league long." Ditka fired back with the following.
"Empty tin cans make the most noise, and he's an empty tin can. It had nothing to do with Ryan playing Ditka. We know who'd win that one. Hands down. Me."
Something tells us Ditka and Ryan never got together for beers following their coaching careers. What other instances did an NFL coach rip an opposing coach? Join me in the comment section below. Make sure to follow myself and TPS on social media. We post great content all the time. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, we're on everything. Go find us, go subscribe, go follow. If you like this video, give it a like. It takes one click down below, and subscribe to TPS. We post videos every day. Every day's a new video. Of course, thank you so much for watching. I'm Jason Biondo. I'll see you next time.
On my knee.